Okay. Hi, everyone. This is COD QA meeting, which is happening on 29th in 2019. And these are public meetings and recorded, and they will be published to YouTube. Let me share my screen. All right. Uh, There are two items that we put on the agenda today, discussing about the Volta test proposal that we have discussed on Volta Stabilization Brigade on Tuesday this week. If there are any questions towards it, we can discuss about them. And also, Gil is on the call, so from Northport. So we would like to just discuss on these tests and how to go about for Volta test contributions and how we can collaborate going forward. So let me quickly bring up the test proposal that we presented on Tuesday. Anybody has any questions? And I assume that you were all there on the, assuming that you were all present at the Volta Stabilization Brigade this Tuesday, and this is the same presentation that I have presented it right now. So anybody has any questions on this?
I guess only that you could run these tests on patch sets. I mean that's what was new to me.
You mean this one? You mean this
Well,
part?
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Okay, so this is new to you. I mean, the patch set verifications using BBSIM.
Yeah. Yeah.
So what was your question, Gil?
Well, I guess it goes on to what North Forge had committed to, and which was, and what we had presented to the community
Okay.
about a month and a half ago, that we were going to be doing this work.
Oh,
But yeah, it just so you know, we're not sharing the same meetings. I mean, besides this one, and then this is, I came to understand that there was some overlap only when you presented that to the brigade meeting. So
okay. Okay, I understand. So yeah, we can talk about that definitely. And were you being part of the Volta Stabilization Brigade since the beginning when it
yes,
started?
since the beginning, yeah.
Okay.
And I had added my test cases to the spreadsheet.
Okay.
Um,
The one which David had started.
yes, David had started it. Yes, correct.
Yeah, okay. Let me also bring that up. Um, Kailash, can you quickly post it to me? The the Excel.
Yeah, sure. I'll post it in the Slack. Just one sec.
Yeah, sure.
There was a second version of that, I believe, as well. But I posted my test cases in the original one that he had up
Oh,
first.
okay. All right. Let me just quickly bring that up and
Yeah,
is this the one?
yeah, that's the one.
All right. So, I mean, which were the test cases that Northforge has added here?
They're down below.
All right. So, are these pre-provisioning these parts?
Yeah, that's correct. Pre-provisioning. Yeah, that's yeah. Pre-provisioning would have been the first. Yeah.
Okay, this and OLT
Yeah.
OLT discovery.
Yeah.
And how about these? The radius authentication and these were
Yeah. Correct. Yeah, there were five. Yeah.
Okay, all these you mean?
Yeah, all those. Yeah. Are there any after that? I don't know.
Yeah, we had added more to
Oh, okay.
the physical
Right.
part. Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, they are the same. It's just that on the physical pod, we are adding with the tech profiles with various configurations and then
Hmm.
testing the same behavior.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so and then are you using BBSIM? Was the plan to use?
Yes, yeah, the plan was to use BBSIM, but there was, we in our plan we also had test to be testing PonSim as well as we had done for in 1.x.
Okay, and the PonSIM tests are still running, right? I assume for 1.6.
They're not, yeah, no, on 1.x, yes, but
1.8.
no, yes.
Okay. And I was on location, so a couple meetings of Volta Civilization I didn't attend, but I think Kailash can add more to the information because Kailash was also present there. And Kailash,
Yeah. So when I started writing these test cases, so the very first test cases um, on that spreadsheet is just a clean start of all the Volta components and containers, and then validating, as you see on that, the description on that, making sure EAPL and DHCP address assignment has been set. And obviously, with BBSIM, there's no data plane, so you can't test traffic
That's,
getting passed.
that's
Um,
correct.
yeah, so at the start of the brigade, well, as you recall, a lot of things were unstable in terms of devices getting pre-provisioned, enabled, and things coming up consistently. So we were battling that for about, I would say, about 3 weeks from the start of the brigade. So that's why we went ahead and made these efforts to put something in place, because I remember a lot of the developers were working with BBSIM to get BBSIM supported with Volta 2.x. So a lot of efforts were going there, and there were a lot of different, um, different patch sets and code revisions that were going on
Hmm.
to try to get things stable and to try to get it to work correctly. And so
Yeah.
that's why we found it critical to get a simple test, a happy path test case developed for that. That way
Mhm.
we can validate all these different theories that all these developers had in terms of why things aren't stable or things aren't working. So that's why I went ahead and just started these efforts to get this going. And so with the help and the outcome of that, actually, we had created a job that just deployed all these containers, and then tried to bring up BBSIM and try to authenticate. And for the longest time, things were very unstable, even with the tests. But
Mhm.
eventually, with the help of the development efforts and everything, things did become efforts. So these tests and the automation job that we had running. In the beginning, it was just running on a timely manner with released code. But eventually things became more and more stable, and now they're actually really stable. So that's why we're going to go ahead and turn on the patch, running these tests on patch sets, especially since
Yeah,
we've
yeah, yeah.
branched out to the stabilization branch as well too, Volta 2.1.
Hmm.
Um, so that's why I went ahead and made these efforts to get something, at least the first test
No,
case, clean start test case here going.
yeah, yeah.
Um,
No, it makes a lot of sense. It's just that you got an early start to 2.0 versus what I did. Like I only got around to it about 2 weeks ago, even though we had presented our plan about, like I said, a month and a half ago, which is kind of about when the time that the stabilization brigade, I guess, was put together and started. The meeting started. So
right,
and
and
then only 2 weeks ago did I realize, okay, they're using kind, and that makes all makes some sense, and then and then Voltus CTL. So I reverted to plan to using that myself, but in myself, I can see where you're developing directly, like on Jenkins, and I can see you're it's just a robot driven job. And whereas I, for my testing, I was going to have to use a VM and so that's the focus that I was taking. But I can see now. I mean, the fact is that it's all done. The work that we had planned.
Hmm.
So, uh, and all the effort to you. I mean, that's good. But the question is how do we move forward? I mean, our commitment now was till the end of to the community was till end of September or mid to end of September.
Hmm.
Okay.
So we're wondering, how we can help you guys. I guess we're more, because it's test automation, so we're more into your play.
Right.
So
Yeah, I understand your concern, Gil.
yeah,
Now that
and my manager, I mean, uh, was going to be here, but he's just been delayed.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I apologize
Cristiano.
for getting ahead of things here because especially at the start of the stabilization brigade too, there was some debate going on about did we start this brigade a little too soon because things were very, very unstable. I know a lot of
Hmm.
people had that concern, but because we were there and we were already started
And
with
you had the
that, then
time. You had the
yeah,
time.
our developers started contributing too, and then I was there too. So I figured, I'll be able to help in that aspect at least, you
Yeah.
know.
Mhm. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just that we weren't aware that that was going on, in the background.
Yeah. No, I apologize for that.
Yeah.
But there's definitely a lot of help you guys can still do here in this brigade, especially with the test automation. I mean, as you can see, I mean, the test I wrote is just a very basic clean start test, and so there's, if we follow this, if we try to follow this spreadsheet and
Hmm.
try to implement some more of these scenarios and testing scenarios, that would
Hmm.
be a huge help too because it will help uncover a lot of other potential issues as well too, which is the primary goal of the stabilization brigade, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So, Gil, to add what Kailash was also saying, yeah, definitely there is there is more to it because the one which was already covered is just a very very basic stuff. And
Yeah.
as you see in this sheet, we have some failure scenarios where we are making sure that the containers they are killed with various scenarios, and then they come up properly, and then we make sure that still after the containers come up after a bad state, then they are able to still function and we are able to still ping to have the DHCP authenticate DHCP and ping, so they work.
Yeah.
So all these scenarios could be
I,
taken if you wish so, because these are also like critical core scenarios, failure scenarios, which are very important.
yeah. These would ride on the same job, on the same. They
um
would extend, or would they be a different job, or?
Yeah, we did with these will be on a different job because these are kind of functional scenarios. Functional and a different to it. Functional means variation to like failures. We are actually checking for
Mhm.
failure or reboot scenarios, those kind of things. So the one which Kailash already started is just testing the patch set, which is a very very basic sanity for the patches to get merged. But these
Mhm.
scenarios will be on a different job where we are after the more like a detailed kind of test. So we usually have different jobs for various kinds of testing. So one is the patch set, which is already done and which is still getting refined. And then now we are in a process of starting to write the functional scenarios, and like let's say after the pod is built, then we run these scenarios on them, make sure that everything is still intact after all the functional scenarios are done, failure scenarios are done. And these are also tested as part of kind volta setup also, most of them.
Yeah. So
How do you develop that? I mean, directly on Jenkins robot? I mean, how do you run it for?
well, it
The,
mainly depends on
the
what your device under test is. So some of these scenarios, like restarting some of these containers and scaling down containers and scaling them back up, that's mostly of the control logic of the system, right? So you can test that with using bbsim. So in those tests we would um be able to test it against BBSIM, and that's when you can leverage the Jenkins EC2 instances and bring up VMs and use it in that test environment. Now Suchitra's added a lot of data plane failure scenarios to this spreadsheet as well too, and that's obviously going to require hardware and an actual physical pod. So once we develop these test cases, we can brainstorm kind of how and where we want to run these tests. Like I said, if it can be contained in a BBSIM environment and the scenario can be tested with BBSIM, then we would run it in Jenkins. And so a lot of the functional test cases, we can, an idea would be to run them post-merge of any, Volta commits, right? So, we have a patch set one that tests basic sanity stuff. We don't want to run the full functional test suite against every patch set. That can cause a lot of noise in Garrett and, a lot of, if there's failures and stuff like that, there can be a high turnaround on getting patch sets merged. So we want to keep that to a minimal set of testing. And then post-merge, we can do it in an automated way where we can have the job listen to images being built and images being published. Then we can just have that job pull those images and then go through our functional test cases. And again, that will also be tied to a Garrett patch set. It will just be post-merge. So we do that with some of our testing in Cord as well too. So that's a good approach for that as well.
Yeah. That's still more long term. I mean, we're talking. What would be the kind of thing we can assist with in the immediate future, like more, within the few weeks of we have committed. Do you want to come in there, Jack? I see Cristiano's joined. Anything you want to add, Cristiano?
Well, I guess I missed the first part of the conversation because I couldn't join earlier. I guess on my end, I just was a bit surprised to find out that there was an overlap and was wondering how.
Yeah, how that happened. Well, yeah, we kind of, Kailash kind of went through that. I mean, I don't know, maybe do you want to summarize how? Because partly we're on different meetings, okay, and where the join happened, where it was into the stabilization brigade, and that's where there was a need to immediately start on getting something going to certify, all of the patches that were going into Volta 2.0, as Kailash was explaining. So that's where he started early. He had an early start versus what we had, but there was no convergence as to what we had presented to the community in terms of our plan to do the same. But that's
right. Yeah,
and there's no hard feeling. It's just where do we go from here?
To add to that as well too. So we were heavily involved in the stabilization brigade itself, and so early on there was a lot of discussion going back and forth about testing and long-term testing and how that's all going to work. But then we shift focus to let's forget about long-term testing and long-term release planning. Let's just focus on getting things to work right now. And so the immediate need for that time period, I would say it was about 2-3 weeks when things were very, very unstable. Everyone shifted their focus onto getting things to work now. And so what was, critical and vital for that to happen was getting some automated tests running while everyone was making all these patch sets and fixes into fixing various components of Volta 2.0. This was very critical and instrumental in getting this over that hump at least. And now that we branched out, we'll be able to leverage at least that sanity test moving forward. But that's not to say there's not a lot of work left in automation and testing still today. I mean, there's still a lot of work to still be done in this brigade and long-term success of Volta.
Yeah, and then,
okay. So
I'm sorry, like one more point is that I know that we just started with these provisioning OLT, ONU, and radius authentication was done. But this is a very simple test that was created. It's testing only BBSIM is used for definitely, but then it's only with one OLT and one ONU. But in BBSIM, we will have even more scenarios where we are testing with multiple ONUs and then validating the behavior. So these are another important set of test cases that we still need to achieve and which are not there yet. And since we had to definitely get the patches merged from various commits, so we I think at that time it was in a rush that these tests were incorporated with a very simple one OLT and one ONU only.
So now Jill is taking on some of those, I guess, right?
Well, I'm not sure what exactly I can help out with. That's what we've been kind of discussing there when you joined.
Yeah.
Okay, so Gil, would it be fine if you can, because here in your here we are just still talking about like OLT, but we have a number of ONU simulators and then trying to authenticate.
Hmm.
Those test cases have not been achieved yet with BBSIM.
Okay, so what there is for the sanity, it's only one ONU
Right,
and
exactly.
one OLT. Ah, okay.
There's only one OLT and one ONU to just quickly validate through, from one end to another, and that everything is good in a good state.
Okay. Yeah.
So definitely for even in BBSIM, there is still a lot to achieve that which we have to validate number of scenarios which are not really taken into consideration. From our side for running these tests that we already put in as part of patch sets.
Okay.
So I would agree that these are still there, should be still valid, because in the test purpose we are still mentioning that we are testing with number of ONU simulators which are still there and then still need to be achieved.
Hmm. Okay. Well, that could be something.
Yeah, those are one, and the other important scenarios that we can indicate are like I was just previously we were just talking about, like bringing down one of the containers and then trying to bring them back, and then just making sure that they come back up, and
Hmm.
just working out with the containers, and this is something that could be tested on a BBSIM setup where we are trying to work with various containers and then testing the behavior after a failure scenario occurred.
Okay, that's another aspect. Um, so would I say maybe the 5 test cases that I've listed that originally were mine, just to do them with multiple ONUs? I mean, would that be a start?
Yes,
Could that be?
right, exactly. That would be a good start because even validating with multiple ONU simulators is one of an important test purpose.
Okay. Okay, so it's repeating the test that you have but with multiple ONUs.
Yeah, right. Multiple ONUs, and these are like functional tests that we will not be running them again on the patch sets, but then
No,
we'll.
not on the patch
Yeah,
set, but however you want to run them, whenever there's a release or nightly or whatever. Yeah, it's
right.
a different job, like you say. Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
So would that be something that you would be?
Yeah, that would be feasible, I think, in the time frame that we're looking at.
Okay.
Does that sound reasonable, Cristiano?
Yeah.
Okay, then that sounds good because then in that case we will be focusing on our pods, like the physical pod where we have
Yeah.
physical OLT and ONU, all the.
And shutting them down and maybe letting them come back up again. That's what.
No, these are regular scenarios where we are.
Oh, right. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay, I missed.
on a physical pod, we are writing right now starting with just one OLT, one ONU, and then we are
Yeah.
exactly trying to load a tech profile, a particular tech profile, and then
Oh, these are tech profile stuff. Oh, okay, got it.
yes,
Yeah.
and then we again authenticate the HCP and then try to ping. So these are some basic scenarios, and then towards the end we have these failure scenarios where we are trying to reboot the OLT, ONU, and then validate the behaviors.
Okay, yeah, got it.
So these are completely on hardware.
Okay. Yeah, that's less available for, but you mean it's something, you know, in your domain. Yeah. You have access to the hardware more
Yeah,
readily than we.
right. We do have it, right?
Okay. Okay, well, I can focus on that.
Okay.
And just what we said, yeah, multiple ONUs. So I
Okay.
didn't realize, yeah, the sanity was only done on a single ONU.
Oh yeah, no problem. Yeah, just as a single
Okay.
sanity.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
All
So
right.
okay, then that sounds good. That's a good plan. Then we can focus on physical pod, and then you would start with multiple ONUs for BBSIM. And
Mm-hmm.
other point also we want to bring up is since we are starting to write new. Uh, I think it's been agreed with the Volta Stabilization Brigade as well that we have a new system test repo that was created some time back. Volta System Test is that's the name of the repo that got created, and that's what the community agreed. And we have started incorporating the framework and tests into that framework. So if you could also look at that and test going forward. Our plan and the community's plan is to put all the tests related to Volta stabilization brigade or the Volta itself. We are just putting them there.
Okay, yeah, I think I saw that. Yeah, the Volta system test.
Mm-hmm. Right, Volta.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. On GitHub as well. That's what you're talking about.
Yes, that's on OpenCore, right? GitHub.
Yeah, on OpenCore. Yes, exactly.
Yeah. Yeah. So if you could look at it and then use the same repo, that would be great. And that way we are all on the same page, and everybody knows like what we have been contributing to that repo, and that way we can incorporate and put things on Jenkins as well easily.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Kailash, do you want to add anything else? In anything that
Um,
I missed?
no, but yeah, but if you need help getting started and getting things
Yeah.
deployed with Clean Volta, do let me know. It's um, and if you look at the pipeline that I have created for the Volta BBSIM 2.0 test as well too, that should you should be able to follow that too and see the steps I'm taking, using kind Volta environments. But
Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, I saw that. Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. I mean, I would have followed the same kind of scenario from a VM point of view, but it's a lot easier. And like I say, all you have is robot defined, code, and that's okay. I mean, there's no like I had Python libraries, which
mhm, mhm.
which are not required in this case. You've wrapped everything up in Python.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
sorry, in robot.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but again, I mean, as you know, in Robot 2, it supports Python libraries too. So if there's any, functions you need to write in Python as well too, you can create your own Python library, import that, and use those functions as well too. So
Yeah.
yeah,
But
as well. I mean, I
everything's
I didn't
contained.
feel the need of it right now because right now
Sure.
I was doing basic things, but at a later point in time, we'll probably need a Python library as well too.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I totally agree because even that's what we did with even with Zebra test framework. So we did have robot libraries as well as Python libraries, and that's how we had been creating our tests using both
Okay.
of them.
Using both. Yeah.
Right.
Okay. So that's yeah. So I think I have my work defined now for next few weeks.
Okay. That sounds good then. Sounds like a plan. Anything else, Daniel and Gil? Do you want to add anything, any other topics other than this?
Cristiano, did you have anything?
No,
Anything
no,
else?
I think that's it. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. And looking at the agenda, we just have these two. If anybody else on the call need to discuss or talk about any other items, please bring it up.
Okay.
All right, that sounds like a no. Okay, then we'll meet up in the next QA meeting. And I'm not sure, Daniel and or Gil, are you guys going to attend the ONF Connect?
No, we have no plans. I don't think
We are not going there, but there are a couple of people from Northforge going there. Vikas and Narayana. Not sure if you have ever met them.
Oh, I don't remember. Probably Narayana. I think last year, was he there last year?
Vikas, yes.
Oh, Vikas. Okay. Probably I can remember if I see him again.
Okay.
Okay. All right. I think that's all for this meeting then.
Okay.
Thanks,
Thank
you.
everyone.
great. Thank you.
Thank you so
Bye
much.
now.